is someone who is continuously, persistently pursuing excellence in being excellent. So it's a double layered meaning. You are pursuing excellence in trying to be excellent continuously. This is a lifelong pursuit, a continuous improvement or self-improvement process. And Allah says He is with those types of people. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. And this word is a very important word. Because in the hadith of Jibreel, Umar ibn Khattab, the second caliph of Islam, he is the narrator of this hadith. He narrates that at one time the Prophet ﷺ was sitting with his companions and Angel Jibreel came in the form of a man. Very clean, dressed, very dark hair, very well kept. There was no sign of travel on him. Basically, he's saying that this man looks out of place because if you are traveling in the desert, your hair would be disheveled, your clothes would be sandy, dusty, but this man had no sign or trace, as if he just literally teleported from somewhere, somewhere very clean and pure, and just showed up. He's trying to set the tone of the story. When we were sitting with Rasulullah, that a man came upon us in this situation. And he sat down, he put his knees, he lined it up with the Prophet's knees, and he put his hands or palms on the thighs of Rasulullah. And he says, أخبرني عن الإسلام. He says, inform me or tell me about Islam. And Rasulullah tells them the 5 pillars of Islam. And Islam is to testify there is no deity worthy of worship. And then the man giving his answer, he says, Sadaq, you have spoken the truth. And the companions, he says, we became very amazed. This guy comes out of nowhere. We don't even know who this guy is. It looks like the Prophet doesn't know who he is. And he asks him a question as if he wants to know about the matter, or he wants to know about the issue. Then once he gets the answer, he says, yes, you are correct. So if you already knew the answer, why are you asking? Who are you to vet my answer? I'm the Prophet, you're just a stranger. What Rasulullah did say. So when he said Sadaq, you have spoken the truth, then he said, Akhbirni an al-Iman. Inform me about belief. And Islam is submission. Iman is belief. So he said the 6 pillars of Iman. You believe in Allah, the books, the messengers, the last day, the decree, the good and the bad. And then the man said again, Sadaq, you have spoken the truth. So the companions were even amazed again. More amazed. They thought the first time it was just a fluke, he just said something. The second time they were even more amazed. So something's going on. But they stayed quiet out of respect. They had the utmost respect for Rasulullah. They are watching something amazing. This man looks clean, very well kept, and he's having a conversation with the Prophet. We're not going to sort of watch how this interaction unfolds. And then the man asks, "Akhbirni an al-ihsan." Inform me about al-ihsan. This is the noun which muhsin or husn comes from. Al-ihsan, the act of continuously pursuing excellence. Rasulullah said, and this is the part we want to focus on. And ta'budullah ka'annaka tarah, to worship Allah as if you see Him. فَإِنْ لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ, and if you do not see Him, فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ, then know that He sees you. And this time the man didn't say so. This time he just said, then he moves on to the next question. It's a long, very long hadith, but the part we want to focus on today is al-ihsan. Now, the order in which this man asked these questions actually speak to the significance or the ranking of al-Islam versus al-Iman versus al-Ihsan. When they're all used in the same sentence or in the same scenario, they actually have different meanings. This is one of the sciences of the Quran. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for example, Surah Al-Ahzab, إِنَّ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَالْمُسْلِمَاتِ وَالْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ وَالْقَانِتِينَ, then these things do not have the same meaning if they're used all together. But if they're used separately in different scenarios, then more or less generally they mean the same thing. A good believer or something. But when Allah puts all of these words together, also supposed to put all these words together, then there's a distinction between them. Otherwise, because He's not going to be repeating the same thing like a broken record. So there's an intent behind utilizing these distinct words. So the ulama, they say that Islam is the lowest rank, just pure submission. This is the first step, actually. This is like passing with a bare minimum C grade, barely making 69.7. This is the first rank of Islam. And then the next rank will be Iman, being a mu'min, a true believer. Meaning you just do not submit, but you also have sincere conviction and certainty in the unseen world. For example, you cannot see the angels, you cannot see the light, you cannot see the light. This is something hard to believe in because it's not tangible. And so this is the next step. That is why when the Bedouins, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they became Muslim, they said, Aslamna, قالت الأعراب آمنا. وَلَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. They said, we amanna, we have believed in the unseen. And Allah commands Muhammad ﷺ, tell them, no, you didn't believe, you only submitted. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ, because Iman, true belief and certainty, conviction, has yet to enter your hearts. Because this is a process. This is a self-culturing process. It doesn't happen overnight. You become a Muslim, this is the first step, your first baby step. Then you gotta learn how to crawl. Then you gotta learn how to walk. And then you gotta learn how to jog, and then run. And then perhaps you can run a marathon. But you don't just jump from crawling all the way to running a marathon. It doesn't happen like that. And this is where al-ihsan comes. This is where the process of the pursuit of excellence, the initiative of self-improvement. So the highest rank then becomes muhsin, someone who worships Allah as if he sees him. And if he doesn't see him, he knows that Allah is always watching. Let's give an example. Let's give a very simple example. Assume that you're working at a company, you're in the office, and your boss is in his room, okay, and he's busy with meetings and so on and so forth. So you're taking it easy, you're relaxing. He's not there watching you. He's not micromanaging. Right? So you got the headphones on, you're laying back in the seat, eyes half closed, and you probably got like a YouTube clip playing on the computer screen because you know the boss is not really paying attention. So you're just taking it easy, chilling. You're not really doing the work. When you're not really breaking laws or company policy, you're just taking it easy, right? Just counting the hours before you have to clock out. Suddenly, your boss, you hear, he puts down the phone and he opens the door and he comes out. You quickly sit up straight, take out the headphones, quickly switch the monitor, and you start acting like you're working, right? You got your hand into some data reports or sheets, and you crunched up, acting like you're working, right? You start looking through the pages, acting like, you put on the show because your boss now came out, he's watching, right? This is the difference between someone who is a Muslim and the true essence of ihsan. If you really had ihsan, you would be working all along 100% with him watching or him not watching. You wouldn't put on this sort of deceptive show, and then once he goes back into his office, you just throw off the act and just go back to your original. This is the difference between someone who is shallow and someone who is really deep into his work. Another simple example. If you're a manager, I initially gave the story from you being an employee. Now assume that you are the manager, you are a supervisor, and you run a team of 3 people. You have one guy, he does the bare minimum, he doesn't break any rules or anything, but he doesn't go above and beyond. He just does the bare minimum, and if it were up to you, you'd fire him, but you can't find him legal grounds because he'd probably sue you for unlawful termination or go to HR, so you can't get rid of him. You want to because his work output is just the bare minimum. It's not enough to get fired, but it's just skimming, just getting by. That's the first type of employee. Nobody wants to hire this type of employee. And then the second type of employee you have is the guy who you know is reliable. He shows up all the time. He always does his work with pride, quality. He doesn't give you any baloney. You don't really have to check over his work. You can sleep at night knowing that if you have to go on vacation and you pass out the company, temporarily off in his hands, you know that he would do right by you. So he doesn't worry you too much. This is like the next type of employee. And then finally, you have the employee who goes above and beyond. The company is his life. He's there 7 days a week, on the weekends, doing overtime. You assign him 2 projects, he does 5 of them for you before the deadline. You have that type of employee. That's the type of employee that you want to take to the bank. That's the type of employee that you want your whole team to be. He does extra. He doesn't just do the bare minimum of what's asked. He does extra and before the deadline. He does it before, ahead of schedule, and under budget. This guy saves you time and saves your company money. That's the guy that you want to take to the bank. The first type of employee is just a Muslim. Just does the 5 salat, does the fasting, does the hajj, the bare minimum, if even that, and he gets fine. This is the Muslim. The second type of employee who does his work with pride and he's reliable, you're not worried about it. This is mu'min. And the third type of employee who's there 7 days a week, on the weekends. You call him up 2 in the morning, he'll take your call. He finishes 5 projects in the time that it takes 3. And he's always volunteering his time to do more because he really truly wants to benefit the company. This is the Muslim. This guy is the one who is pushing himself to the benefit. This is the type of believer that we should aspire to be. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Allah clarifies the statement. It's not enough that you just be God conscious, but you need to start moving up the ranks. If you keep getting left back, let's say you're in the 5th grade and you keep getting left back, what's the point of going to school? You are not graduating. You are losing time. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Those who are persistent in pursuing the utmost form of excellence. When we seek excellence, we are very superficial about excellence. We gotta get the best threads, we gotta get the best set of wheels, we gotta get the best sneakers, glasses, shoes, whatever. These are the types of forms of excellence. We want to dress well, we want to look good, we want to smell good, we want to talk good. The excellence is a very shallow level of excellence that we pursue. But we neglect the inner excellence, the true character building that a mu'min, or a muhsin rather, should always pursue. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word ihsan in the Quran in many different contexts. But if there were a higher form of excellence, He would have used it. For example, Allah says, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. The word ihsan. Allah has enjoined us to worship none but Him, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and to deal with your parents in the highest form of excellence. Why? Because there's a connotation here. When you are seeking this form of excellence, especially with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is not done out of fear. Someone becomes a Muslim because he wants to be saved from the punishment of Allah, or a mu'min because he fears hellfire. Right? But a muhsin is someone who does certain things out of pure love. Out of pure love. There is no fear factor involved. Because fear only works so far. You can only suppress the people for only a short amount of time before they uprise. Did this country think that they could enslave the African Americans forever? At some point, people are going to have too much. They are going to blow. It's like a pressure cooker. You can only push so far before the whole situation explodes. Fear never works. It's a temporary suppression. It's a temporary solution. It's a band-aid. Where you need stitches, you just put a couple of band-aids. It's going to heal open again. But when you can shape a person's mind and hearts, when you shape the person so much so that he genuinely loves you, he truly respects you, it's not a fearful thing. He's not complying out of fear. We stop going at the red lights not because we want to. It's because you know that the cop is probably watching the next block and he's going to pull you over and write you up a ticket. This is not because you love stopping at the lights. Who loves stopping? Who loves going to work? I don't like going to work. I don't know if there's anybody who actually likes going to work. You could be a workaholic. Doesn't mean you really love your work. There's nobody I could. If you really love your work, then there's something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. Nobody really loves work. It's an evil. It's a necessary evil. Well, I'm using the word evil very generously. It's not evil. It's a necessary evil. Without it, you can't go to the Bahamas. You can't take days off. You can't chill with the family. You can't. Work is just a means for other things, right? That you really enjoy. So nobody really enjoys work. But a muhsin, coming back to the original point, because I digressed a bit, a muhsin is someone who really loves Allah and does things purely out of His love. That they don't even want a reward. The reward is a side thing. To them, it's not a business transaction. Because when you really love someone, they don't have to tell you to do things. You always want to. Right? For example, if your parents are very old, right? They're very elderly, and they are frail or something, they can't move around. Their mobility is limited. Right? So you see them trying to get off the couch, pick up the cake and try to get to the kitchen and probably grab a cup of water or something. Right? So if you're a very obedient son, a muhsin, someone who is continuously doing ihsan to your parents, as soon as you see your father look at his cane while he's sitting at the couch, you would know right away that he's probably trying to get up. This isn't even before he says it. So you would anticipate, you're always anxious to anticipate what's the next thing he needs. And your father wouldn't ask you to do it for him because, the man has self-pride. And I don't say this in a bad way. It's not arrogance. Pride is something else. Arrogance is something else. He has self-pride. That, I'm gonna keep pushing myself. I'm not gonna become a burden to my kids. So you're gonna see me trying to get up. So, yeah, what you need? Oh no, don't worry, I'll get it. No, what you need? This is out of love. This is out of fear. What you guys gonna do? You can't do it. Right? This is out of love. And the Sahaba were always like this with the Rasulullah. They were observing every single ounce of expression of his face to determine, is he happy? Is he sad? Is he in pain? Did something happen? Is he hungry? Is he sick? What is he stressed about? This is ihsan. Because our parents took care of us without anything in return. They didn't expect anything in return. They did it out of a place of true love, maternal and paternal love. This is from the mercy which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a portion. 99 stayed with them, one came over here and distributed amongst the rest of the creation. This is a portion of that life. That your mother wakes up in the middle of the night. What are you going to do to your mother at that time? You're a little baby. You can't do anything. And they don't expect anything in return. This comes just purely out of love. It's not a transaction. You do this for me, I do this for you. But when we try to be dutiful to our parents, right? We do it out of a sense of, not guilt, but it's a sense of like, oh, I owe you, or I need to, because you did it for me, it just looks bad, I don't do it back for you. It's out of a sense of obligation. It's not, it does come from a sense of love, yes, but it's not the same type of love that they do. But you will only understand when you deal with your kids. Until you have your own kids, you don't understand that sort of parenting. Right? When you have your own kids, you would do anything for them. You would give up your life for them in an instant, if it so be. Right? Would you ask or expect anything back from your son or your daughter? No. And they will understand that type of love until they themselves. See, this is ihsan. When your parents do something to you, it's nothing, no strings attached. That's the word. No strings attached. It's not a political type of thing that, you support me in Congress and one at times to support you, I'm going to do that too. No strings attached. This is ihsan. And this is the type of the sisters, if you can please move up once again. Please tighten up the gaps. And then give you a few seconds to do that. If you like, you can please tighten up. This is ihsan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وبالتالي فيما آتاك الله الدار الآخرة ولا تنس نصيبك من الدنيا وأحسن كما أحسن الله إليك. Allah commands the believers that chase the hereafter with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon you in this life. وبالتالي فيما آتاك الله الدار الآخرة. Chase the akhirah, the hereafter, with whatever Allah has given you in this life. And then the more important part is وَأَحْسِنْ كَمَا أَحْسَنَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْكَ. And be excellent to Allah as He has done excellence unto you. How has Allah done excellence? Just look around. And so when we are being excellent to Allah, this is not really a literal excellence to Allah. This is an excellence that will save us from the torment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Islam is here. This is the first step. And then we graduate to the next. This is the C rank. And then the B grade would be Mu'min. And then the A+++ would be the Muhsin. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. Allah is with those who are not just only have the taqwa of Him, but continuously trying to be excellent in that. Always truly loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because just for the sake of this is pure, untarnished, they say purified water or high concentrated mineral water or something. This is that type. We need that type of ihsan in our hearts. And this is a long process. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it short. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Even as a simple act, you want to talk about seeking excellence. Brothers, I'm going to remind you again, please move up. I see there's some space in the middle over there. I want to have to start pointing out people. Because we have to also make the work and the life easy for the ones who are dealing with the Masjid and handling the logistics. It's a very high stressful job, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep them safe, and those who are volunteering their time and keeping their eyes open for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, keep them safe the way they are guarding us and trying to keep us safe in very turbulent times. So brothers, a simple act of ihsan. This is something so simple. You wouldn't even imagine this. It's so simple. It doesn't take any physical effort besides just moving the tongue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah An-Nisa, وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ if you are greeted with a greeting, then give a greeting better than that or equal to it. You see? Give a greeting back in return better than that, and we'll start with that, better than that, or at the minimum equivalent to that, equal to that. It's a sunnah of Rasulullah that when someone gives you a gift, you give something a better gift in return. You see that, at some point that you guys are always going to be competing at being better at each other. Right? Now this is how we're doing. You're going to start competing with each other who can make the most tahajjud. Those who compete with each other. Those who compete with each other, these are the ones who are near to each other. In the paradise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will be close to each other in the paradise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah says that when someone gives you a greeting, you give a better greeting. So a simple example. In the time of Rasulullah, he was sitting, and a man came into the masjid and he said, Assalamu alaikum. And the Sahaba replied, and the Rasulullah said, Ashar, 10. Just like that. Another man came in and said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. They responded and said, 2 tens. 20. Another man came into the masjid and said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. 30. So then the companions asked, Ya Rasulullah, when this man came in, we heard you say this, and then when the second man came in, you said this, and when the third man came in, you said this and that. What was that about? This is the curiosity of the Sahaba. They don't want to let a single thing go unnoticed or unanswered. They are like scientists in the sense that they are observing Rasulullah ﷺ, they put him under a microscope, dissect every single nanosecond of his life to squeeze out every last drop of good that they can get from Rasulullah ﷺ before he departs. So they know he's just a man like them. His mission here is a limited mission. He does not have infinite time. At some point he will depart, and the Sahaba and the rest of the Ummah will have to just follow his footsteps. So they want to squeeze as much as benefit as possible, ihsan, before he has to go meet his grave. So the first man said, Assalamu alaikum, so he got 10 hasan. The second man, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, he added the mercy of Allah, wa rahmatullah, he gets 20. The third one, he gave the full salam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, the mercy of Allah, wa barakatuh, and his blessings. May peace be upon you, and the mercy of Allah, and the blessings of Allah be upon all three. He gets the most reward. 10 for each piece. This hadith is related to this area. If you are given a greeting, a salam, give something better than that. So if a brother comes into the masjid and he gives you assalamu alaikum, you say wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Or just go for the full 30. Half a second longer. And if he tells you assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, read out the whole thing. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. If he gets up to shake your hand, you go up to shake his hand and you hug him. Beat him to it. You're constantly, after a hug, I'm not sure what you do. That's it. That's a certain limit. But once you reach that limit, alhamdulillah, you have done your part. Then you start competing in other things. But this is the type of ihsan. You do this not because you love only the brother for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want the face of Allah. This is the pleasure of Allah you get. You know when you see your brother and you have no business relationship with him, you have nothing to gain from him. But you just seeing it and him seeing you just brightens you. You feel a certain way. Right? There are certain people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them this aura, this demeanor that you don't have to even talk to them, just seeing them just makes you smile. And you don't even know why you smile. You don't even realize you're smiling. So someone comes to you and says, "Oh, I see you smiling. Your Lord always keep you smiling. What are you thinking about?" I'm smiling. You don't even realize you're smiling because you just saw the brother passing by. Passing by, you're sitting here, you see him put the shoes on the shelf and just come here to get you and smile. Some people have that sort of, this aura that Allah has given, this faith, light of faith, this emanating from them. This is excellent. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the muhsinun. You know why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change a group of people until they change themselves. Do we want to know why our ummah, our nation, the whole global nation, is being thrown around the world left and right? People have more respect for doormats than they do for the Muslims. You respect a doormat. You know why you respect a doormat more? Because you paid for it. You want the best one. So as soon as you have people over to your crib, you want to put a nice doormat. Well, the Wi-Fi password is this. You know, they have this joke that says that if you want to know who's your true friend is, as soon as you walk into his house, your phone auto connects to his Wi-Fi. That's how you make your friend. So you respect a doormat so much because you paid for it. It's the first thing that people see when they come into your house. People have more respect for doormats than they do for Muslims. Do we want to know why? Because we are too content with just being C students. We are content. If you do not see, if you do not notice that, those of you can please stand up once again. Just look to your left, look to your right, look in front of you. If you see space, just please to your right. Some of us have been Muslim for very long. Couple of decades at the least. Now, remember the first day you were born, remember the first day you accepted Islam, and look at today. The time that has passed, the delta T, in algebra you would say delta T, this is the differential of the time. The delta T that has progressed or elapsed, is it proportional to your character development from day one to now? Is it proportional? Have you even had any progress at all? You can have positive progress, you can also have negative progress. Where am I standing currently compared to where I was on the first day? If you say, oh, I was born into a Muslim family, that doesn't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. There's so many people who are born into an Arab or Muslim family, they don't even know how to read the Quran. It doesn't mean nothing. Just because you're born into the Prophet's own father is not being saved from the hellfire. The Prophet's own uncle is being related to the Prophet, blood relatives, they're out to lunch. So some people, they have this false sense of security. Oh, I was born into a Muslim family. Oh, I grew up in the culture. Islam is not a culture. It's not a culture. That's an insult to Islam. That's an insult. So it doesn't mean anything. Some people think that. So look at the day when you have gained your intellect, meaning you're old, you're of age, you're no longer a minor. There's a legal age, right? 18, right? In Islam, it could be before that, it could be after that. It depends on how quickly you mature mentally. So you can stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give your account. So you count from that day, and you look at today, and you see what is your progress. Have you progressed, or are you still being left? Are you still repeating the third grade over and over and over every single year that passes by? How many Ramadans have I witnessed? How many Umrahs have I witnessed? How many Hajj have I done? How many 5 Salat, Tahajjud, and Tarawih, and all of this stuff I have done? And is there any proportional or corresponding character development? If there isn't, then we need to really investigate what is going on. Perhaps we have gotten too obsessed with the ritualistic aspects of an Islam, but we forgot that our hearts are still the same old, dark, musty hearts, which haven't really, Iman, true belief, and Ihsan has still yet to enter. It's still on the surface level. We just submitted on the outside. I just want to end on this story that there was a certain time that the Sahaba, when they went out for battle with Rasulullah, that even some of them, they saw a tree. This was a superstitious tree that the Kuffar used to have at the time. And they used to hang their swords and tie things on it because it was a omen time. And it used to mean a lot. For example, if the birds flew one direction from the tree or one direction, it would mean that they would win the battle or they would lose the battle. So they would determine if they should still continue to march to the battlefield or not. So they came across this tree. This is way into the Median years, when Rasulullah was already living in Medina for many years, meaning Islam has already proliferated, very deeply. But even then, some of the companions, when they passed the street on the way, they said, Ya Rasulullah, make for us a tree like that. This is the kuffar, they have their tree, make one for us too. But Rasulullah was very angry at that point. He said, after all these years of me living with you, you still ask me this question. Make for me a tree that you guys can do superstition and omens and worship. I'm still amongst you. I haven't even died yet, and you're already talking about shirk, associated property. And in another instance, in a slightly different scenario, he said, I haven't even stopped breathing, and I already smell ignorance from your mouth already. So Rasulullah was worried about the degradation of the Muslim nation at that time. 1400 plus years afterwards, you can imagine the situation, what our situation is. And we need to really be honest and take stock of ourselves. Umar al-Khattab used to say, take account of yourselves before you are forced to give account of the day of judgment. Because Allah is very quick in giving account or taking people to task. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from the muhsinun. Because we can all testify, inshallah, that we truly love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. We love Him. It just takes some more work. Because look, I'm going to end on this. I know I said that, but I'm going to end on this. When you talk to some, I have certain Muslim colleagues, I didn't even know that they were Muslim. Because they don't pray, they don't go for Juma'a, no salah, no nothing. Then I found out, I went to Islamic school, I'm a Muslim. I'm a Muslim. Oh, you are? Oh, amazing. And he's like, I know about kosher and stuff. I said, no, kosher is the Jewish stuff. We do halal, which is somewhat similar. So then he says, look, I don't pray, but I love God. It's here. You got to prove it, brother. You got to prove it. If you just tell your pops and your moms, yeah, I love you, dad and mom, and then you don't do anything to help them out at old age, that love doesn't mean anything. That's just lip service. Better you stay quiet. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا. Then do you think people will be left alone and not being tested when they say they love Allah? أَيَقُولُ آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يَفْتَنُونَ. Do they think that they'll just say that I believe, or I submit, or I have yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they will not be tested? You gotta prove your worth to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If not for Allah, at least yourself. Because you really never know how good or how bad you are until push comes to shove. You think, when you see the professor doing all the mathematics on the board, you're watching him do it very flawlessly because he's been teaching the same topic for 20 years. He's doing it very easily, and because you're watching him, you get this impression that you also would know how to do it because the whole thing is being written out in front of you. But if I erase the board and I give you a blank sheet of paper, I said, okay, do the same exact thing now. You couldn't do it because you really couldn't prove your worth. You have to prove your worth to Allah. Allah says, وَيَعْلَمُ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَيَعْلَمُ الْكَاذِبِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it clear who's actually being truthful about both Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and those who are liars. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again to make us from the muhsinin. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا اللهم فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما اعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا برحمتك شر ما قضيت. سبحان ربنا رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على الانبياء والمرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ولقد آتينا موسى الكتاب وجعلنا معه أخاه هارون وزيرا فقلنا اذهبا إلى القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فدمرناهم تدميرا وقوم نوح لما كذبوا الرسل أغرقناهم وجعلناهم للناس آية وأعتدنا للظالمين عذابا أليما وعادا وثمود وأصحاب الرس وكلا بين ذلك كثيرا وكلا ضربنا له الأمثال وكلا تبعنا تدبيرا ولقد أتوا على القرية التي أمطرت مطر السوء أفلم يكونوا يرونها بل كانوا لا يرجون نشورا وإذا رأوك إن يتخذونك إلا هزوا أهذا الذي بعث الله رسولا إن كاد يضلنا عن آلهتنا لولا أن صبرنا عليها وسوف يعلمون حين يرون العذاب من أضل سبيلا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أرأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه أفأنت تكون عليه وكيلا أم تحسب أن أكثرهم يسمعون أو يعقلون إن هم إلا كالأنعام بل هم أضل سبيلا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So you have that, right? You don't need that.
No, I got it.
Okay.
Please, brothers and sisters, support the last shade with your wealth, felicity, and love. Please support the last shade as a purification of your wealth. Inshallah, brothers, please use your rear entrance. Please use the rear entrance. Also, as a reminder, those who carry any type of backpack, briefcases, whatever, will be checked at the door. Inshallah, for the security reasons. We have the announcements. Islamic School of New Jersey meet and greet, calling all students, parents, teachers, staff, and guests. Welcome to this ISNJ, a family event. Join the past with the present. January the 13th, 2020. This will be tomorrow. from 4 to 7 p.m. sharp. Location at the NIA Masjid Community Center, 231 Roosevelt Avenue, New Park, New Jersey, 117. Come join us and stroll down memory lane. Light refreshments will be served. Contact Anita Al-Mutazim 973-477-0598. Once again, Anita Al-Mutazim 973-477-0598. Dawood Abdul Shakur 862-252-3610. Dawood Abdul Shakur 862-252-3610. Saturday, January 20th, 2024, from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. This is the Middle of Belleville, $40 per person. The bowling night, 479 Washington Avenue, Belleville, New Jersey. All the roads are February 2nd through February 20th. For more information, call 973-678-7878. First number 973-678-7878 or 973-223-6054. Islamic weekend show Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. That's Habul Yameen. For more information, please call Habul 973-464-8030. Also, free Ramadan brunch Sunday, March 3rd, 2024, 10 a.m. at Ground Zone, 351 West Broad Street, West Broadway, Madison, New Jersey. Tickets are $75. Once again, the free Ramadan brunch Sunday, March 3rd, 2024, 10 a.m. at Ground Zone, 351 West Broadway, Madison, New Jersey. Tickets are $75. Inshallah. Inshallah, please try to contribute to some of these programs. Everybody must be involved. Please be allowed to Masjid. Inshallah. Now I'll bless your name. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.